Greetings and salutations, completely random strangers. Today I'll be explaining where, based on Joe Cat's alignment chart, I'd place different people based on their eating habits in the Wizards of the Coast world of D&D. This is the second time I've written this script, as my computer unfortunately killed itself. Before I could save the previous nearly perfect script, it needed only be peer-reviewed by a council of my peers, which I only have 3, but still, to attain perfection. But unfortunately, it was lost to the void when I reached for my sticky notes and accidentally gently brushed the back hairs of my hand against the charger. I am now pressing Ctrl S every few paragraphs, and will be recording this video in segments, so if any file gets lost or corrupted, why did I write that into the script? I'm gonna record this all in one piece and then just edit it down, or maybe not. I only have to replace that and not the whole video, which I guess makes sense, which I expect to be about 15 minutes maximum, depending on how I edit this. The last time I recorded this script, everything was high-pitched and annoying, so now that it's way too early in the morning to do anything, let's just record it like this. Ah, shit, hold on. Alright, had to answer the door now. Excuse me for any audio differences that may have occurred. I just grabbed the mic and moved it closer. Where was I? Third paragraph, right. Let's set the scene, shall we? There are 9 alignments on the D&D tic-tac-toe board, and depending where you are, you either care or you don't care what goes into your face and passes through your body. I'll now be explaining who cares, for those of you who asked. And for those of you who didn't, you're welcome anyway. For those of you wondering what you, as your character, should be allowed to eat, I hope this handy-dandy little guideline will help both you and your dungeon master to realize whether your good character is actually evil or neutral, or, whatever. So, first up at the table, we have a heavily armored woman with about a fist-sized cut of meat on her plate that is otherwise overflowing with all kinds of vegetables that probably taste bland, boring, and I don't want to eat them. She also has a glass of water or juice, depending on what's cheaper or cleaner in this village, and a fruit to the left of her plate. You've no doubt realized by now, this is the lawful good paladin, eating a healthy, balanced diet with the bread bowl within arm's reach. This is where you'll find your keto diets, your low-carb diets, and other such diets no one really advocates for, outside of passing conversation. You know, the kind of diets that actually work if you stick to them for longer than a goldfish would. Alright, lawful good characters would probably also abstain from drugs and alcohol outside of necessary actions, such as infiltrating a den of thieves to gain the trust of the thieves, I guess. Why'd I write it like that? Or drinking to toast a noble's engagement at a mandatory party gathering, because sometimes you just can't get out of those. Seated 1 seat apart from lawful good, to her left and right, we have a scrawny man with nothing but grass and beans. Bean sprouts. On his plate, berating lawful good for being so foul as to have killed some poor creature just to eat. To her other side is a young lady, actively eating a live chicken, 1 bite at a time, as it slowly dies in her hands. Have you guessed who these 2 are yet? That's right, it's Lawful Evil and Chaotic Good. But which is which? Well, the answer may come as a surprise to our Lawful Evils in the audience. But it's actually the scrawny vegan man. That came as absolutely no surprise to literally anyone else. Chaotic Good is just eating a whole live chicken to get a rise out of Lawful Evil. She usually eats whatever's cheapest at the inn, provided it's not sentient or otherwise affects the mental well-being of her friends. You know, because she's not a horrible person. But Lawful Evil is kind of annoying, and she enjoys tormenting him, as you would. Vegan, anyone would enjoy tormenting. So yeah. Now to explain why being vegan is lawful evil. Keep in mind the setting of Dungeons & Dragons. You live in a time where technology is not as advanced as it is today. A time where eating only fruits and vegetables would be grossly unhealthy, as there are no expensive supplements to provide your body with the hemoglobin it needs to attach the iron to your blood, thus making you progressively weaker until you die of malnutrition. And of course, vegans being the loudest, most obnoxious people to ever say that their diet is right and all others are wrong. Just, just lawful evil, because according to Joe Cat, being evil is defined as going out of your way to harm others, or not caring about how your actions can harm others. And lawful is having a strict set of rules, be they dietary, religious, or the boring actual laws of the land. So, for example, if you have a character who decides, I don't eat meat and you shouldn't either, and that tends to be, very bad, because you're putting a dietary restriction on people who have no other way of getting that one very specific protein that you can only get the one way. Well, I guess if you're the dungeon master, you could just add in some kind of a homebrew item that provides you that necessary thing for free, but that is very specifically an animal protein. So, well, I guess it's magic, so who cares? Where was I? Boring actual laws of the land. Okay. Sitting one seat away from both of them, passed out on the table, is a frazzle-haired woman with a needle in her arm, drink in her fist, just recently awakening from her latest trip, her pupils dilating back and forth, as if her eyes were unable to decide whether or not they would permit her to see. As she's stumbling about the table, just generally being a nuisance, she's slipping liquor into people's drinks when they're not looking. She keeps trying to trick people into eating her miscarriages. Take this slider. Guess the mystery meat. Have you guessed where she is yet? Anyone with an IQ above room temperature Celsius has probably noticed immediately. This is chaotic evil. And you probably figured it out by the pattern I'm going, Lawful good, lawful evil, chaotic good. What comes next? Oh well, chaotic evil, because I skipped neutrals. This is where you get your Rick Sanchez's, your Dio Brandos, your people who go out of their way to eat food that aren't necessarily healthy, and or advocate that others do the same. Why haven't I talked about neutrals yet, you may or may not be wondering. And if you're not, just shut up. I'm the one who asked. It literally has a question mark in the script. Wizards of the Coast has a race called Lizard Folk, and they are what sparked the idea of the food alignment chart in my mind in the first place. Oh, you're gonna love them. For those of you who don't know, they are true neutral. So it may surprise you to see this thick, scaly boy walk up to the round table and sit down on top of it with a human leg in his mouth as he starts picking food off of pretty much everyone else's plate. Except for Lawful Evil, because I wouldn't want to eat his food either. You've all seen the meme from the second Incredibles movie where Bob gets upset and begins screaming about how math is math. Well, if you get all uppity around a true neutral, he may just do the same, shouting, food is food, and there's someone at the door. Alright, so the audio quality is going to get really different right now, because it's been like 3 days since I recorded this, so my voice might be different because, don't know if you know this, but it takes a while to get into character, and my voice is not the most consistent thing in the world. So, yeah. Also, it's really early when I'm recording this next segment, so just, if you detect a shift in audio, that's why. Anyway, back to the script read. Because true neutrals don't eat sentient creatures for the sake of eating sentient creatures. In fact, a neutral will probably eat whatever's available so that they don't die. If they have scurvy, they'll probably eat a bunch of lemons raw and unprocessed. If they're hungry and there's no food around and someone's died, a neutral will be the first to take a bite of their friends to survive. If the party is on a long, acrid journey through the desert, You may not want to look too hard at Chaotic Neutral, as she shares her fish rations with you after eating those bandits who attacked last session. I'd wager only a neutral would probably shy away from eating a sentient creature, and only if you tell them outright before they eat it that it's dragon meat on their plate. Lawful Neutral might shy away from eating humans out of principle, but will eat the less human-looking sentients like dragonborns, lizard folk, dragons, elves without batting an eye. Neutral Evil would probably eat people by choice. Neutral Evil would probably eat people by choice, but not make it their main diet, as doing so would be stupid in most situations. Chaotic Neutral probably ate Narakakra as part of her edgy backstory, and so on. I hope this helped you, and if you're wrong and want to be wrong loudly, well, the comment section is down below. My original script made the same points, far more objectively, but as I stated in the beginning of the video, that script got unfortunately deleted, and I've since gained an opinion since writing it, so you get this instead, and this is all you're going to get, because I am not animating this piece of shit. Leave all resulting death threats in the comment section down below. I look forward to seeing all 14 of my subscribers see this and comment on it over the course of the next 15 years or so. Well, until we meet again.